Good evening. I'm Tarek Patel.
And I'm Randy Rosenblum. And this is SoCal Prep Report. Well, hello and welcome. Another edition of SoCal Prep Report. In a moment, I'll be chatting with Tarek Patel, my sidekick. But what a week for prep baseball. We're going to get into it. But I'm going to throw a little curveball at Tarek because earlier this week, you know that tush push is in the NFL. It's going to stay there. Now, Tarek, should we have the tush push in high school football? I'm throwing you off with that.
I could go a lot of directions right now, but I'll keep it clean. Hey, listen, man. I think there is a place for that play, and at the end of the day, it's just beef on beef. And if you can't stop it, that's your problem.
Would you like to see it at the prep level? No one's doing it as far as I know.
Yeah, I wonder if it just won't go down because maybe there's some like danger to it. You know, guys getting tangled up and heads kind of going into each other. So I think at the prep level, it's probably not going to happen, especially with time to time on Friday nights. You get these overpowering lines playing lines that they shouldn't be playing with early in the year. So you could get into some danger. But college and pros, I think it's fair game.
Okay, you heard Tarek's thoughts. I'm kind of come see, come saw with it. Although I'd like to see it at the prep level, see how they execute it. And it's not an easy play to execute with all that beef down underneath. All right, let's talk about the real world, the world we're in right now, prep baseball. We'll start with the LA City section because arguably they had their best semifinal day earlier this week at Cal State Northridge ever in the semis.
Yeah.
Let's first talk about Venice as they rally to beat Sylmar. I know you thought Sylmar had a great chance to win this game. Venice was down the whole game, down 4-0, down 6-4, down late in the game, 8-7 in extra innings, and get 2 runs. Dominguez gets the game-winning hit, Jesse Dominguez. A guy by the name of Cannon King goes 5 for 5 for Venice, and they win the game 9-8.
Yeah, it's impressive. I want to say they were down a run or more 2 or 3 different times throughout the game. So to have the want to and the resilience to fight back not once, twice, but really a third time and then finally get over the hump. Late in the game, they're down an inning again in extras, and you're thinking this thing's over. And to your point, they get the 2 and win it. And for it to be in dramatic fashion, I know we're going to talk a little bit more about the championship, but as a teaser, I just wonder if it's too much of an emotional high before going into the big final.
When you talk about great performances, Cannon King's performance has to be in there.
Yeah.
He got the double in the 8th to tie it. He ended up scoring the winning run on the Dominguez hit, but 5 for 5 when the money's on the line that's sensational.
Yeah, you're talking about, closing time. Yeah, that's what they call it. I mean, you got to step up, you got to clutch up, and he did. More credit to him. And you know what, to my point, I said this last week, I didn't think Venice was going to be battle tested. Boy, did they show that they are a resilient bunch, so congrats to the Gondos. 28
wins this year. They're still the #1 team. They'll take that #1 ranking into the championship game Saturday at Dodger Stadium. They'll be playing El Camino Real, the #2 seed. Had to get by another West Valley League rival in Birmingham, and the Patriots year in and year out are a tough out and usually win a lot of these titles. But this time, El Camino Real got a walk-off single late in the game, obviously in the 7th. Julius Heim knocking in the winning run. And ECR, the Royals, win 4-3.
Yeah, it's a well-coached bunch. Josh Leiner does a great job over at ECR, been there a long time. And if I'm not mistaken, since the Open Division has started in 2018, I want to say they've been there 3 times. And I want to say they haven't won it yet. Something like that. They have more losses in the Open final than victories, if they have any victories at all. I'm going off the top of my head right now. So I know it's out there for them, and they want it pretty bad.
9 city titles overall for El Camino Real. Venice last won a championship, and it wasn't called the Open Division then. It was just one big division. They probably had like 49 schools, but Venice did win it back in 1973. So who you got Saturday at Dodger Stadium?
Man, I'm gonna go ECR. I'm gonna go El Camino Real. I'm gonna go West Valley League, and I think there's just an element of that San Fernando Valley vibe that seems to always win that game. We were talking about this a little bit before the show. Since San Pedro won the highest division in 1992, they won it again in 2021, and then Bell won it in 2023. that's it. Everything else in between since 1993, it's been a San Fernando Valley team winner in the highest division. So I think that's going to continue.
Before I give my pick, I do want to talk about Bell, last year's champion. Didn't quite get into the open division, falls into the D1 bracket, and loses in the opening round to Taft. This kind of startled me. This is a team that was 11-1 in the Eastern League. We're talking about the Bell Eagles, and they fall to the lower division. Not that D1's low, it's still a pretty competitive division, but surprised me that they lost to Taft. In that, Bell had basically their whole team coming back from last year's championship team, which knocked out all those top-tier West Valley League schools.
Yeah, quick correction. You were right. Bell won it last year. Chatsworth won it in 2023. Yes, very surprising. However, at the same time, not surprising, right, Randy? I mean, you win and you have a great year, but you can't ride the vibe of every season's anew. So it's a different mentality, and I say this, it's like one of my cliche sayings, you're probably sick of hearing it, but after you win, you become the hunted. So now you're getting everyone's best shot, and maybe they just weren't prepared for those kinds of games this year. You end up in Division I, and you fall out.
Yeah, Bell had a good year, but just not good enough, not compared to what they did a year ago. All right, let's get to one of our favorite segments. It's called Point Counterpoint. And our subject matter today, should the city baseball finals, and they'll have the D1 game at 10 and the open division game at 1 on Saturday, be played at Dodger Stadium? Seems obvious. Tarek, what's your thought?
Yeah, let the kids have fun. Give them the experience. I think most coaches, administrators, teachers, I mean, the list goes on when they say, hey, look, we want to give our student athletes a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. We want to give them an experience, a next-level experience. And so that's why these finals are at college venues or professional venues. You'll never forget it. It's great for the fans. And what's better than Chavez Ravine? I get sometimes the dimensions aren't what they're used to. However, it's about it being special and a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And last ad, what better than to win a championship and storm the field than on Dodger Stadium? Let them play there.
Really a good take by Tarek. I just don't totally agree with it. I think when you look back and you're an old man, you can say, how great was it to play at Dodger Stadium? And in a sense, it is. It is Dodger Stadium. But Tarek touched upon it. The dimensions are different. If you're the catcher and the ball gets by you, the guys are going around the base paths. My point here is it's not a regular high school game. You're taking them and you're putting them in a different climate. To me, it's like the NBA. The NBA has all these rules during the regular season, very finesse game. They get to the NBA playoffs, you're watching them right now, and everyone's killing each other. It's a different game.
It is, yeah.
So that's my problem with having a Dodger Stadium. Aesthetically, I agree with Tarek. But when you look at the game itself, the hardcore game, I just don't like it because it's too different. And that's my point. Chuck, I do think that's an interesting argument, though. I think we're both right in a sense.
Yeah, there's no question that any coach will tell you that the dimensions cause for like you might be more aggressive on the base paths or something, or like you mentioned, you might not have your pitcher throw certain pitches because if he's more wild, there's more to lose if the ball gets by the catcher, and it could cost you. So I agree with that too, but the one thing the equalizer is both teams have to adjust to it, not just one. So it's a level playing field in that sense.
I remember, and Chatsworth won a lot of city titles.
Yes.
A few of their teams going into Dodger Stadium and having warning track power, and they lost some championship games because they didn't hit it out. Still, it's going to be exciting.
No
We'll be
question.
eating hot dogs there Saturday
Yeah.
watching the game. All right, let's turn our attention to the southern section. Corona had a very interesting game against Los Osos. They ended up winning the game. Seth Hernandez, their fabulous pitcher, a hitter, was the star of the game. And there's a good picture of him. We flashed that, and we seem to flash that picture every week. His team didn't play well early. They made 4 errors. They wwere down 2-0. They stormed back and win 11-2.
Yeah, he hit 2 3-run home runs. He moves to 9-0 on the season from the bump, 18-0 from his career. The guy's never lost. I just think, I hate to say, it's just like a little bit of rust. Remember, these playoffs came out, and then they got a first-round bye. They basically had to wait a week and some change to play their game. So they probably came out a little lackluster, which is not good but they were able to correct it all, and clearly they won handily.
And Seth on the bump not only pitched well, he struck out 10. He went 6 innings. They took him out late. They had the big lead by the end of the game. It was a little iffy there early on, but Corona, the Panthers, still the team to beat in the CIF Division I playoffs. Next game I want to mention is St. John Bosco and Vista Murrieta. St. John Bosco was down here, scored 3 runs to pull this game out in the 6th inning. They were the Trinity League champions. This was not an easy game.
It wasn't an easy game. Of course, in the playoffs, you never know. All it takes is a hot pitcher or a hot bat, and things can change. You only get one day. These aren't, best out of 3 series or anything like that, which I think could come down the line here in the southern section. However, I will say this about St. John Bosco and teams out of the Mission. When you're playing a tough league, you're prepared for those moments. And so that's when you can dig deep and look for that resilience because you've been tested before. So kudos to the Braves for being able to pull it out.
Yeah, Noah Everly got the big hit. It was a double that drove in a couple runs that turned the tide toward the Bosco Braves, and they move on. Santa Margarita and Huntington Beach. This was a very good game, a 1-run victory for Santa Margarita. Another team that had to rally. Huntington Beach was a club that a lot of us thought could win the whole thing.
Yes.
So this is surprising, at least to me. Maybe not to you.
No. I was surprised. It was, I would call it a stunner or a shocker. Huntington Beach, I would argue, is right. I mean, we're talking like a nose hair less talented than Corona. That's how good they are. They're just not talked about as much, but they are right there, this Huntington Beach team. So for them to get knocked out and not even make the quarterfinal was surprising. But again, Santa Margarita, and even more surprising is the way they lost. I think Santa Margarita was down 4-1 and came back and won 5-4, if I'm not mistaken. So
they were down 5-1.
5-1, there you go. So they won 6-5.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Yeah. That fantastic performance from the Eagles.
Speaking of fantastic performance, we see this all the time from Jackson Eisenhower. I call him the president because he has 2 names that were presidential, Jackson and Eisenhower. And his grandfather is named Dwight Eisenhower, but not that Dwight Eisenhower. But this Jackson Eisenhower pitches for the Crespi Celts. Did a really good job against El Dorado. Now here's another game where they were down early, the Celts. They're the number 2 seed, but they advanced with the 5-2 victory.
Yeah, I'm gonna repeat myself. I just think it was a little bit of rust. They were the only other team in Division I to get the bye, so I had to come out and knock off a little something. But again, listen, the Mission League was a little down this year, but still good baseball. So back to the battle-tested aspect, just looking at each other in the dugout and just knowing, Mike Glendenning's a great coach, very, very, very tough on his team in regard to expectations. So, yeah, you look around, you lean on your brothers, you find a way to win.
Your guy got the big hit, Diego Velasquez.
Yeah, man. Yeah, when I was at the Los Angeles Daily News, he was our player of the year as a sophomore because he was just that good. They went on to win the Division II title that year. So the Celts are rolling.
Knocked in 2 with a single. Diego's a very good player.
USC commit.
Yeah, he's been there about 20 years.
Yeah, it feels like it, doesn't it?
Okay, and again, Jackson Eisenhower did go the distance in that one to pick up the victory. All right, let's quickly go over some of the matchups for Friday.
Sure.
We'll start, these are quarterfinal games, D1, Crespi and Miracosta.
Yeah, Miracosta, I think, is on some crazy, 25 or 26 game winning streak, Randy. That's a toss-up. Do we know where that game is?
I
had to
think
put you
it's
on the
at
spot.
Crespi.
Okay. I think it is too. Man, that's going to be a really fun one. Miracosta, you're talking about almost winning 30 games in a row. So they have found something, and the question is, will it be stopped?
Bosco and Villa Park.
Yeah, Villa Park is kind of a sleeper. They come out of a very, very good league, and I just don't think there's a lot of expectation out of them, so they surprise people. Good one.
Santa Margarita, Los Alamitos.
Yeah, Los Alamitos comes out of that Sunset League. I believe Los Alamitos is in the same league with Huntington Beach. I think that's the Sunset League, if I'm not mistaken. So another team that's probably battle-tested. Santa Margarita just came off that emotional win. Man, you're dealing with young kids, and when you come off of emotional victory, can they get even keel again and perform? That's the question.
And here's that last quarterfinal that I find intriguing. Here's Corona, which won the Big 8, has to play at Norco, who's in the Big 8, who they beat during the regular year, and now they got to prove it again.
Yeah. So and Norco beat them one time. Is that what you're saying?
No,
I
don't think so.
Someone beat Corona earlier in the year, and it might have been Norco.
I'm not really sure.
Yeah, they lost randomly here down here in the southern section. That was one of their 2 losses. One of their losses was a tournament out of state, and then they lost one randomly, and it might have been to Norco. So that could be a little mental edge there. Like, hey man, we got these guys once before.
But should the number 1 team have to travel to a team in their league that they won the championship? Why does Norco get the advantage?
Yeah, we know the answer. They coin flip every round, but I like the city section the way they do it. If you're the high seed, you get home field advantage.
Speaking of Norco, their softball team gets by Oaks Christian 13-1. Norco is the top seeded team.
Powerhouse, man.
Just an absolute powerhouse. I mentioned it last week. They've won 6 CIF titles, 3 state championships, and 2 national crowns.
Yeah, it's a factory out there, and I just feel bad for any of those teams, especially in the northern Los Angeles area. Oaks Christian's like a mainstay in Division I softball. Really, really good talent every year, and then they have to go out to Norco, and it's just not even close.
Okay, and Leighton Gray's the star player for Norco. She's a good player. El Medina 7, Rosary Academy 5. That's kind of a surprise. Rosary Academy was a very good team. Etowanda, one of the powerhouses, they get by La Habra 3-1, and Notre Dame Sherman Oaks 9-7 over Orange Lutheran.
That's been the story of the Division I softball playoffs. Is this Notre Dame team that's going to play in a quarterfinal, I believe, this week. So definitely a team to watch and on the rise.
City section. We'll just talk a little discussion here about the city section. It looks like the 3 powers in the open division are Granada Hills, then Carson and San Pedro out of the Marine League. They appear to be the class of the field.
Yeah, I think it's going to be exciting because you just don't know which 2 of the 3 is going to make the final. So every year it seems to be the usual suspects, and I think I mentioned it last week. Granada always seems to be knocking on the door and maybe gets to the final and then can't finish it out. So maybe the Highlanders get it done this year.
See, they got the great pitcher in Addison Mormon. We'll see if they do indeed get it done. By the way, the championship, like the baseball this week, it was staged nicely at CSUN. The softball final in the city will be at Cal State Northridge.
Yeah, it's a nice venue. I've been to it a couple times, and it's a nice venue over there at Cal State Northridge.
Track and field, I'm going to mention some champions in the boys. Long Beach Poly won D1. D2 went to Culver City. Division III, very interesting. Notre Dame got by Servite. Servite's the school with all those great sprinters. Notre Dame has a jumper in J.J. Harrell, who's great. High jump, long jump, triple jump. He was the difference, but Notre Dame just got by there.
I mean, Notre Dame's known for its track and field. You know, you've got Coach McNabb, Nick Garcia. They just run a good program, and they get athletes out. I mean, even Tyron Stokes. I mean, I don't think he was involved much in the CIF finals, but Tyron Stokes, you know, one of the top basketball players in the country, was out there running a little track this year. So it's an attractable program.
Why am I not surprised that you mentioned basketball?
I always try and find a way to fit it in there.
He loves it. I love sprinters. I want to talk about 3 sprinters. D1, Rodney Sermons from Rancho Cucamonga. Great, great football player. He won the sprint. D3, Benjamin Harris, Servite. He's a great football player, running back. Sermons plays in the slot. D4, Damari DeZern, Alameda. He's going to play football. He's going to transfer and play at Palisades. A wonderful wide receiver. What I love about the sprint, that 100-meter dash, football players and great ones.
Yeah, you know, it's not uncommon, you know, football player in the fall and gets out there and runs track in the spring. We've seen, you know, the Bo Jacksons of the world, right? I mean, you could probably name better athletes. You know, Deion Sanders, I think, ran track. All these guys that were super speed, super highlight
Wait a minute,
athletes.
Who did I tell you last week? Bullet Bob Hayes.
Yeah,
you got to go way back.
Yeah, that's way back there.
That's 60s, baby.
But I know Bo Jackson and Deion Sanders. Those are the 2 I know.
Like, I helped you out, though.
There you go, Bob Hayes. That's
Did you use it on your Sunday show?
No, I didn't.
I didn't think you would. All right, let's talk about the girls in D1. Long Beach Wilson, led by Kaylin Edwards, who's a wonderful hurdler. She propelled the Mules to the D1 championship. Canyon Country won D2, and J. Sarah D3 for the ladies.
Yeah, the ladies are, you know, fast in their own right. Some tremendous athletes out there in the girls' track and field. The Masters meet comes up this weekend, and then CIF State Championships in track and field in Fresno, May 30th and the 31st coming up.
That's the end of the season.
That's it,
We're
man.
quickly coming to a conclusion here. I just love those sprints. I used to call them I remember we'd call it on 36. We did the city meet, and when the 100 for the boys or the girls would come on, I'd say, "Who's the fastest boy or who's the fastest girl in LA?" And it's always in the 100. It's just a wonderful event. And in the southern section, to have 3 tremendous sprinters who are all football players, I think is exhilarating.
Yeah, and there's no question the 100 meter. I mean, let's call it what it is. You know, the Usain Bolts of the world. You know, that's the world tunes in for the 100 meter, 200 meter sprints, even the 400 when it comes to the Olympics and so on and so forth. So it's a great event.
So Sermons, Harris, and of course, DeZern. 3 names to remember in both football and track and field. All right, let's turn our attention to boys volleyball, where we are number 1 and number 2 in the country here. And the 2 top teams clashed for the CIF Southern Section Division I Championship. Huntington Beach was number 2. Number 1 was Mira Costa. Mira Costa wins it in 5 sets. They had beaten this Huntington Beach team 2 straight earlier, 2 straight sets. Tougher match this time. Your guy had a big match.
Yep.
Grayson Bradford, 25 kills.
Yeah, he's going to be, you know, the Division I player. He'll be the Division Player of the Year. He'll be the All-CIF. He'll probably be an All-American. He might even be National Player of the Year, depending on what outlet names him. Just a monster, unstoppable athlete, and really pounds the ball down to the hardwood. The fun thing about the volleyball year this year is the first time they'll have inaugural state championships, which is pretty fun, which is also in Fresno the same weekend as the state track and field championships, May 30th and 31st. I believe the Division I state final is slotted at Fresno City College Saturday night at 6:30. So I think it's likely Mira Costa will win the first state championship for CIF boys volleyball.
And they have a great sophomore, too, and Mateo Fuhrbringer. He had 19 kills in the final. So between him and Grayson Bradford, you
hard
got
to believe
2
there's someone
big
out
sticks.
there that can stop them.
Yeah, again, maybe Huntington Beach. I mean, they got a little bit better this time. It was like 15-11 in the 5th, so it wasn't easy. This was a tough match.
Yeah, they'll likely see each other again in the regional final, which will basically be the semifinal of the state championship. It's likely they'll see each other again.
Boys Open Division volleyball final. El Camino Real wins it over Venice 3-1. Now, Venice was the top seed, but El Camino wins it. Tyler Lee, 14 kills.
Yeah, the city final, I don't know, was the final, do you know if the final was at CSUN this year?
I think it was. It
Yeah,
usually is.
usually it's a good venue. It's a great event. I mean, the city section volleyball for the boys, kind of underrated. They got some leapers over there, so a really fun event.
Alyssa Lee, the head coach there, she's won the indoor, the outdoor,
beach,
boys, girls, everything.
She-
She's a terrific coach.
Yeah, she coaches everything, and I think she's still really young. I remember when I was at the Daily News covering her, and she was like fresh out of college or still in it or what. But yeah, she knows what she's doing, and like you said, has won it indoor, indoor, the beach, the whole 9.
Young? Everyone's young to me. That's perspective. She is young. The Royals, what makes their championship in volleyball most interesting and probably most gratifying is 11 of their 12 players were seniors. So to go out like that and win a city title, I think that's a cool story.
Yeah, that's a nice stat. Yeah, no, I think, hey, what better way to close it out? And look, that's a team that'll have a chance to maybe do something special in the regionals. You know, why not? Keep it going. But if not, you end the year with a city championship.
D1, I'm going to mention this. Taft was able to get by Carson 3 straight games. It's another city title. I know it's D1, not the Open. They want to win the Open at Taft because they've been such a great program in the city section. But Armin Mercado is their coach, and he's a guy that early in his career couldn't get by the championships. You know, he always seemed to get to the finals, whether it was the boys or the girls, and he always seemed to get beat. But in recent years, when his teams have gotten there, he's matured. He's won a lot of championships. Great guy, former great setter in his own right at Franklin High School in the city. Great to see Armin Mercado and his staff win another title.
Yeah, and I know he's been a mentor to our guy, Sina Agassi, who's at Chatsworth High School, has won a ton of city titles and is a friend of the show. So he's not only coaching his players, but he's coaching other coaches in the city as well.
Boys lacrosse, Loyola big over Mater Dei. Does that surprise you?
No, Loyola's all boys school. They're known for their lacrosse, so not exactly a surprise to see Loyola win that sport in a championship. No, not surprised.
Cash Ginsburg, 3 goals, 2 assists. How about a name like that, Cash? And he cashes it in the final. That's not a good line.
If there's one way to go out, I mean, listen,
that's
if
a
you really
bad
want me
line.
to comment, I will.
No, that's not a good line.
Okay. Okay.
Early Cy Young Award poll in Major League Baseball in the National League. You're probably saying, Randy, this is Major League Baseball. Why are you talking about it on a prep show? Because of the top 4, 2 are local guys.
Okay.
Yamamoto of the Dodgers is right in there as the lead guy.
Which is weird because he hasn't been pitching that well.
His last one, he almost pitched a no-hitter,
Okay.
but he has been pitching.
Okay.
His last 2 starts prior were weak.
Okay.
But overall, he's been pretty good.
Yeah.
Logan Webb of the Giants is the other one. He's from up north. But the 2 guys locally
Skeens, yeah.
are Paul Skeens of the Pirates and El Toro High School, Hunter Green of the Reds and Notre Dame. Great to see 2 of the 4 guys that we covered in the Southern section doing so well.
Okay. And I'm going to. Skeens, doesn't he already have a Cy Young? Did he win it last
No.
year? No, he doesn't. Are you sure?
I do not think so.
I know he's been really popular. He's like coming on as one of the MLB's top pitchers, so that's cool. What's even more cool about Hunter Green was that he went through injury, and now he's back. So I love to see him on the other side of this thing for the Reds and throwing heat. That's fantastic.
Yeah, I think the biggest question with Hunter, and he was on this show, and he was a great guest. We visited with him when he was out at Notre Dame High School. He was a great shortstop there and pitcher. They kind of rested his arm his last year, didn't pitch very much at all. They wanted to save him. Tom Dill did a nice job for him preserving his arm as he wanted him to mature for what he's doing now in the major leagues, his health. Can Hunter stay healthy? He can throw it with the best of them. If he's healthy, he's going to win games.
Yeah, and he's a high character kid. I know during the fires, he donated. I remember the campaign was if there was a high school baseball player or college local that was impacted by the fires, those kids got free baseball cleats from Hunter Green. So that was pretty cool.
Great kid. He was very yes sir, no sir when I met him. I really liked him. Very well mannered. You got to love it.
Parents, man.
Parents.
That's what that is.
They did a great job. I want to talk about one guy. A guy by the name of Mark Bowman. He's a tight end football player at Mater Dei, still has another year or 2 left. He just announced his 7 schools where he may attend college. I'm going to throw these names out to you, and I want to get Tarek's impression because I know you saw Mark Bowman play.
Yeah, no.
We saw him the same
He's
night.
He's basically going to be the best tight end in the country.
Miami, Oregon, Georgia, Mississippi, Texas, Ohio State, and USC. They say he's another Brock Bowers. Now, that's a big statement. Bowers was a great player at Georgia, went on, and he's now a star player for the Raiders.
I think for Bowman, you got to look at fit and maybe even a little history. And maybe you can help me on this. I can't think recently, I'm 35 years old. I've seen some decent USC
You're that
football.
old?
I haven't seen like a great tight end come out of USC. You see what I'm saying?
Right,
you got to look at a little bit of legacy in that position, in my opinion. So for me, I'm like, Bowers, Georgia, I'm looking for fit. And so I would say if I'm him, I'm looking, where do they use a tight end in the passing game, and not just to go out there and block, because Bowman is so athletic and he's got great hands and size. You want to use him as a passing threat, not just not just another guy.
That's a great take, because where do you fit? Now, he can play anywhere. Any of these 7 schools, he's going to start.
Yeah.
Maybe not immediately, but close. So, it's going to be fit.
And
Texas is another one that they'll throw to the tight end.
And I'm a USC guy. I don't go out there and go, man, our tight end this year. They just don't get them. We're talking running backs, wide receivers, quarterbacks at USC. They don't really go after tight ends. It's just the way it is. Lincoln Riley likes to spread it out and throw it. I don't know if a tight end necessarily fits in that.
Mark Bowman, wherever you go, we still get to appreciate him next year at Mater Dei. He will be very, very good.
I think he'll only be a junior next year.
I know. He's got time, but he could reclassify.
That's true.
Who knows?
That's true.
He's so great, he could leave early. Probably get a lot of money, too, to go to one of these schools. That would not be a shock. A friend of ours, Derek Taylor, former basketball coach, Bosco, and a great career at Taft, won numerous city titles. Blair High School in Pasadena, new coach.
So he was done at Taft, and then he was supposed to be the head coach at Sarah Gardena, had some health issues and basically backed out of it, and couldn't coach. And it's great to see him healthy enough to coach again. We'll see him in Pasadena. There's a lot of talent in Pasadena. Blair could get good fast.
And I will see you Saturday at Dodger Stadium. We're going to find out who wins that Venice El Camino
Can't wait to see the
game.
plate of food that you put together. It's always wonky. It's like leaves of lettuce with like pieces of hot dog.
There'll
weird.
be numerous hot dogs in the South.
It's weird. It's weird.
For Tarek, I'm Randy. We'll see you next Thursday night right here on SoCal Prep Report. Show off the
Camera
arm.
two,
Go
baby.
ahead.
Come on, camera
Show
two.
off the arm. Here it comes.
There it is.
Clayton Kershaw. Yes.
Oh, and
That's
look,
2 weeks in a row.
and the adjustment too.
2 weeks in a row you hit the camera.
Production's gonna be mad. I think I broke.
Yeah, you probably did. I hope you have the cash to fix it.
Sorry.
You're no cash in.